Welcome back to My Spiritual Experience with your host, Brother Sadiq. Today, I'm hoping you all got a chance to see my first interview. It was a UFO experiencer and a UFO hunter. His name is Scott Kamenak. That is my most recent interview. And I think it went well for a first interview. I think it went pretty well, and I'd like you guys to go ahead and check it out and let me know what you think about it. For those of you who do watch this channel, as you know, this channel is about spirituality and our everyday experiences of these things. The idea of the show is to talk about the spiritual experiences that we all may have had that we may not be comfortable sharing with everyday people, but the logic behind the idea of us sharing this is that we become more familiar with it and that we recognize that it is not as foreign or as hidden as we may believe. The idea of spirituality being hidden, in my opinion, is because it is what they call subjective. It is very personal. It is, interpersonal. It is transformative for the individual who has the experience. And their belief about the experience is generally what carries them into a form of transformation. And so, us sharing these ideas and these occurrences in our life, I think, is a beneficial thing for the times that we're in. I recognize that we are in a shifting phase of time, and that where we're going is going to be better than where we've been. I feel like the matrix that we were, born into, had most of us reaching very low levels of our potential. I believe that our potential is much greater than that which most of us have ever been allowed to express in the world. And so today, I want to talk about myself. I want to share. I want to open up. I want to expose parts of my own belief, my own thoughts, my own mind in relation to spirit, and in relation to my purpose, in relation to our being here and the times that we're in. Um, as I said, I believe we're living in shifting times, and I don't believe that any of us who are born right now are here arbitrarily or by mistake. I am one who believes that our lives are in somewhat guided. They are they are involved in a picture that is bigger than what we may be able to see or understand from our local perspective, from our small perspective. So if they talk about the idea of the creator being omnipresent, meaning present everywhere, and omniscient, meaning knowing of all things, um, that tells you that there is a necessity for you to connect to this unseen force in you known as spirit or the great spirit, in order that you may have a broader perspective than that which you have, that which you make decisions from currently. And so a greater awareness, being that great spirit, is worthy of being approached by a lesser awareness, being our individual spirits. And so prayer, prayer and meditation and the things that are related to that is kind of what I want to talk about today, and its effects and how this is all related to metaphysics, physics, quantum mechanics, and our attention and our intention. So, yeah, kind of a broad idea and topic, but I don't think it's going to be very hard to understand once we get into the meat of it. So, I think this video will be called "The Man with Three Names." Um, yeah, a man with three names, because the life experience of myself is what I want to talk about. And if we go from the transformations that have occurred in my life, the experiences that have caused me to see the world in different ways as I progressed through life and aged and matured, um, I think that is a necessity because when I was a young man, growing up in Detroit, running around with, the average cat on the street, the ideas that I possessed were that of that community, and to the extent of what my community and my perspective could allow. And when I was a young man, they used to call me Flint, Flintstone, and that started from my grandfather, right? My grandfather, AC Thomas. He started that because as a youth, as a baby boy, I wouldn't keep shoes on. I like to keep, every time mom would put the shoes on, I'm kicking them off, right? I'm a nature boy. I like my feet on the earth. I like to, to feel the ground, and so every time she put them on, I'd kick them off. And so, my granddaddy said that boy like Fred Flintstone. That's one of the Flintstones, right? So, you know what I mean? He don't want no shoes on, right? So that was the idea around the joke when it was when I was a baby boy. And then as I got older and matured, it wasn't Flintstone. They just called me Flint, right? And so most of my family, when I was growing up, that's what everybody in Detroit knew me by, Flint. You know what I mean? My family, my friends, you know what I mean? My mom even went to school one time looking for me, and asked the staff, is she need to go, pick her son up today, and she go into school and say, yeah, do y'all have a student in here named Flint Thomas? And they go through their records, and they like, no, we don't have a student in this school by that name, man. We don't know that name. We don't have that student. And she gets irate and starts, getting into her sister bag, and she like, hey, I know my son go here, and I've rode him here, and I know y'all better show me where my son at. And and then she realized, oh my God, I am so embarrassed. I am so sorry, ma'am. I am so sorry. And began to apologize to the staff because she realized she asked for Flint Thomas, and that's not my name. That's my nickname, right? So people in Detroit, people in, my family know me as Flint. And she just so comfortable using that name that she don't even call me, by my birth name that she put on my birth certificate, which is Charles, right? So she go to school and ask for Flint Thomas. Then she has to apologize to the people because her demeanor had got a little hostile, and then she realized she had made the mistake by calling her son Flint Thomas versus, Charles Thomas. And so that's just a story about it, but many names, right? So that's the name that I went by as a youth, right? Flint, right? Um, all my little girlfriends or whatever knew me as that. My little homeboys I used to rap with and break dance with and box with and karate and whatever else we used to do, all of them knew me as Flint. Uh, the second name that I want to share is Charles, right? That's the birth name my mom put on my birth certificate, right? Charles. And so Charles O'Neill Thomas, in fact. And so with that being one of my second names. So I say the man with three names, or a man with three names, because in reality, these names actually carry different aspects of my character and personality, as I grew and matured and developed into, a man from a boy. So I'm going to talk about that today. That's what this video is about. And I think it's definitely something that is going to be valuable because what I'm going to do is expose myself. I'm going to live out of my biggest form of love. See, because the world teaches you not to express love, not to show love, not to share love. Love is a dangerous thing to live by, to move by, to decide by, to, you know, expose to the world. This is not a positive place for love. Everyone teaches you that, you better protect yourself. You got a big heart, the world will abuse that. You hear all of these things growing up, and it's the truth. I've heard it all my life, since I was a little kid. Like I said, even with Miss Francis, she give me boxes of, fudge sickles or boxes of, Tootsie Roll Pops, and she'd tell me not to share with people. And the lesson in my maturing stages of life, that was always curious to me, but I understand and I believe that parts of that lesson and parts of the lessons that I've learned through my entire life is that, I have desired to live by love, right? To live by the idea of, this is how I would want to be treated, so I'm going to treat everyone that way. I'm going to have the benefit of doubt of a good heart. I'm going to have the benefit of doubt that this soul is righteous, that this person is good, that at the core, that their intention initially is good. So I've long given people the benefit of the doubt. And, you know, I don't think that most people would approve of that, right? And giving people second chances and, believing in people's, good nature and character. People say when people show you who they are, believe them, right? Yeah, all of these are things that we hear in our community and society, quotes, you know what I'm saying? Woo, woo, woo. But I'm gonna tell you, some of this is fear, right? A lot, in fact, I'll say most of it is fear. We don't live our most abundant self. We don't, and I believe we're here to express ourselves, right? We're here to live as the expression of this being that is inside, that is generally based in love, right? We are generally based in love. We want good for everybody. We want, compassion. We have compassion. We don't want to see nobody getting beat up. We don't want to see nobody getting bullied. We don't want to see, we cringe at animals getting hurt. We cringe at dogs. So our real nature is very loving. We're very caring as human beings. But because the way that we are socialized and programmed through this matrix and all of the selfishness and competition that we're taught to live by, causes you to have to live from a perspective of self-defense and covering of who you really are. And so most of us never reach our full potential because we don't really express our true selves. So, like, you watch Michael Jordan or you watch some famous person who we see do a thing to its utmost, right? They do it to its damnedest. They do it to its height. They take it to the best that it can be done, right? When we see these people, we admire them. It's impressive. We approve of them. And so what I'm saying is that every human being has a form of expression that is attached to their soul, to their spirit, to their life being, that when they express it, we all will admire them the same way we admire Michael Jordan or whoever else these people are who we may see being successful in the world, right? Living up to their fullest potential, right? So one of the reasons that most of us don't live up to our fullest potential is because we don't honestly live from who we are. We don't live from our internal self. We don't live from our soul, from our spirit, from that depth of love. We don't live from that. We live in a state of protection to let no one know who we really are on the inside, right? No one really knows. Like they say, the world and every relationship we have is just our representative. It's not who we really are, right? We don't really show the world who we really are, right? Because if we did, we're afraid of being judged. We're afraid of being ridiculed. We're afraid of being, shamed, ostracized, pushed out, whatever. We're ashamed. We're embarrassed. We're afraid. We cover up our true self in this world because someone's going to say something about it. Someone's going to judge me. Someone's opinion of me limits my ability to express my real self. Think about that for a minute. Y'all may not initially agree, but think about it. Why don't you actually say what's on your heart? Why don't you actually say what's on your mind? Why don't you actually say how you feel about a thing? Just what you explained, I just explained why, and that's true whether you want to accept it or not, because you're afraid someone will say something about who you are. This exposes who you are in a way that I didn't know you. I didn't know you believed that. I didn't know you thought like that. I didn't know that's who you are. And so all of these judgments and our concerns about being judged stop us from expressing our most heartical self, our most truest expression of this energy that is in our heart, that is in our soul, that is in our spirit, that is in our mind, that is in our being, that wants to be expressed, shared, and shown to the world. But we're so afraid that the world is going to judge us. Well, today I'm going to be judged because I can't live that way. And I think that us in this time and the times that we are living in, that is my job. I think it is relevant to all of the people who happen to see this video to recognize some of us are here to live through and express that which is to come. And that which is to come is God's kingdom, is heaven on earth, is a glorious, beautiful world that is sustainable and that is structured so that all the souls may bountifully reach their highest heights. Okay, that is what God's kingdom is. That's all it is. It's just every human being living their most expressed soul self and reaching their highest heights and expressing it into the world. That's all everything that we see is. Every table, every chair, every car, every idea, every news channel, every form of anything that we see outside of ourselves is someone's expression into the world from their inner self. Now we glorify and get excited about those who do that in sports, right? And really in yeah, that's about it. I mean, we like actors who, act very well and things like that. But I mean, like it seems all like almost the sports is like showing the excessive levels of human potential, right? It's almost like superhuman in some of these feats because we see people doing things that we cannot do, right? So it's almost an exclusive genre where when you look in the Black community, where do you want to be? It's some kind of, I don't know, sports, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, golf, or, acting or rapping or singing or some form of entertainment. That is all due to social engineering. Your truest self may not have anything to do with anything that is in this society that is geared towards what we've seen other people do to reach the heights of themselves. You understand what I'm saying? The height of yourself may be something that transforms the entire world. But because you're afraid that people will say, "Oh, that's weird. That ain't," whatever they may say about it, because it's definitely going to be abnormal to what we see going on, right? Anything that is going to be from the heart and from the depth of yourself is probably going to be looked at as foreign to the way most of the world is expressing themselves in this time. So knowing that before even attempting to express yourself is a necessity. You need to know you're going to be ostracized and looked at and pointed at, and all of this, all of that. That comes with it. I was talking to a woman and her son at a sweat lodge one time, in the Anipe or whatever, and they she talked about her son having heightened spiritual consciousness and that it made him isolated in school and etc. amongst his friends. And I'm like, yeah, that's natural. And for her to be able to accept it and be able to relate to him, that is going to be part of that path. Like they say, few walk the path, right? And so you don't have a lot of people who support you in that position, understanding, or these broader understandings that are being sent into you, shown to you, that only you are seeing. Everybody won't see it. So it's going to be hard to relate to the others that you may love. So what I'm going to talk about today is my own personal path and this third name, which is Sadiq Ullah. Okay, so I have been three different forms of perspective and reality interaction in this world, right? So I have been Flintstone, which is, what I'm saying, Stone Love, Black Peace Stone, all of that, what I'm saying, blessed into, what I'm saying, the set when I was in Job Corps in Southern Illinois by Big Mo. And so, the theme of being a stone and standing alone and having this depth of self that says, let me understand what we dealing with here and how to navigate it and teach it back and show it and present it in my own, in my own expression. You know what I mean? That's all part of this path. And so I look at my life as having been guided, and I don't deny that I look to continuously be guided. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be real. And so, since I'm talking about the man with three names, right? Flintstone was a kind of a rough cat in the city, learning how to, make his way, and utilizing his ego to present himself. I used to rap. I used to, you gotta have a little bit of a confidence to rap. You gotta have a little bit of confidence to break dance. You know what I mean? You gotta have a little bit of a confidence to do these things. And so that was an instinctual thing for me. The music, the hip hop, the rap, you know what I'm saying? I still flow. I still drop a line on a cat in a minute. You know what I'm saying? I got flow. I got lyrics. That's nothing. So that's an aspect of my character. You know what I'm saying? Flintstone. That's a real aspect of my character. You know what I'm saying? And so that's something that, as life progressed, and you go in depth into what you study. If you study in this black stone, you study in this black peace stone, you under the five: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And then you begin to understand that a lot of the lit comes from the Holy Quran. And then you begin to say, okay, well, let me study the Quran. So that leads to a different aspect of development and growth. And so therefore, my transformation began, in a higher level of understanding, my position and my perspective, that even led me to be a black peace stone. So after that, it leads to Islam, right? And so as I become a Muslim, 23, take my shahada, my son born that same year. In fact, the fact that my son was going to be born that year prompted my maturing and my spiritual aspect of stepping into that light, into that path, into that walk. And so, yeah, that was a responsibility step for me, and it transformed me in a lot of ways. And so there was that, there was the education of being, educated into Islam and understanding spirituality from an aspect that is outside of Christianity, which I had already been, I had already experienced Christianity, and chose to be a Christian at 14. So when I was still Flintstone, when I was a young man, I used to go, when I was around 13, 14 years old, my mom would send me out of Detroit during the summer, because during the summer breaks, like they say, what they say, idle time, idle hands are the devil's playground. So most of the cats in the D used to get into trouble in the summer. You know what I'm saying? Stealing cars, breaking in houses, selling crack, whatever pastime you had that, what I'm saying, your people may be into, or your circle may be into, or the hood showing you. You know what I mean? So moms would send me out of town to Evansville, Indiana. And shout out to, what I'm saying, my cousin and my auntie. My auntie helped, mold my life in that way, whether she's a conscious of it or not. But my Aunt Mary, you know what I mean? She lived in Evansville, and she was deep into the Christian religion, into church and whatnot. And so we went to church, like, in the summer, we probably went 4 times a week. You know what I mean? Like, she was into all of the extracurricular things at church, choir, whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we went to church like 4 times a week. Then we go walk down on the riverfront, probably 3 to 4 times a week after church or around the church time. And you know what I mean? And she had a garden out back. And so I got vibed out into that. And then I'm listening to the preacher, man, and he talking about Jesus. I realized Jesus is revolutionary. I've been understood my own station and position in society at 13 and 14 years old. I could see the 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 dynamics of the hierarchies of society with race and socio-economic, political, I could see all of that. And so when he talking to me about Jesus, and him flipping over the money changers tables, and that's a gangster. You see what I'm saying? Whether y'all want to say it or not, go somewhere where the money being moved and you flip that table today. You better be gangster. Right? You better be flip somebody money over today. Flip a money changer's table over today and not be gangster. That's a revolutionary who had balls, who had cojones, and I was impressed with this character, right? So I was listening to the preacher talk about Jesus, and I'm impressed. So I'm like, yeah, that's me. I see the flaws in the system, and I'm ready to flip them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I was approving of that, and so I became, You know, I got baptized when I was 14 by the preacher man down there, and I got baptized in the river. And he would, you know, he slow rolled it. It was supposed to happen one week, You know, everything happened in God's time, but ultimately I had to stay on the man's head, like, bro, what if I die before you do the? Okay, you right. So then I prompted him to get this done. So we got it done. So we got it done. And then later in life, me and him had a conversation about some of the things that I found contradictory in Christianity. And I ran into the same thing that most of us run into: a preacher or a pastor who does not know how to explain what they don't understand and not willing to say that they don't understand. So they project this bullshit on you and say, "Oh, you're questioning God. Don't question God." That's it right now. So you know what I'm saying? They turn it around and put the guilt level thing on you, so you feel like you shouldn't question, but you know, whatever, player. I'm one of who gonna question. And so that's what eventually led me to Islam, because I realized that Jesus was also in the Quran. Oh yeah, well let me find out about this gangster cat named Jesus who's spiritually sound and getting his work done to change the world back to how it should be, because I seen the world as something wrong and needed to be fixed as well. And so, yeah, that's what led to Islam. And so, you know, all of these years as a Muslim, so I'm 23 or whatever, I'm interacting with life and whatnot. And so what I understood over time was that the social setup that I had been born into was, you know, a matrix, right? It's a design system that is extracting the energies and the powers and the wherewithal and the knowledge and the insight of all of the smartest people on the planet, and utilizing the energy and the, you know, the bodies of those who have been manipulated by the matrix to benefit itself. So what I'm talking about is they call it a brain drain, like you know, in the city, in the inner city, right, where poverty may be prevalent. You get these cats who come out with these high intellects and intelligence, but they don't stay in the community to feed the community and build their community. What happens is the society, the larger society, pays them money because they have this intelligence, and then they go away from their community. And so that's the brain drain, right? And so this is how most of the intelligence in our society is moved right into the matrix and utilized for its advancement, right? And then for those who are not of that higher intelligence, they're used like batteries, just like the you. Hey, copper top, you know what I'm saying? Get to work, get to work, get to work. Feed my dream, feed my dream, feed my dream. We ain't worried about your dreams. We ain't worried about why you on the planet. We not worried about why you live. Feed my dreams. Go to work. Go to work. Go to work. Pay them bills. Pay them bills. Pay them bills. That's a battery. Okay, you're just feeding someone else's vision of the reality that we exist in. You're not the star of your show. So this is the thing that I'm talking about every one of us having a personal perspective and agenda for being here. I am going to tell you, within the heart of every man is a gift that is for the world and for their family, and that will be a benefit to this earth when they're in a balanced state and they bring that out of themselves in a loving and sharing and a caring way. Okay. So yeah, that's a lot said, but what I'm going to say is that what I'm going to say today is sound crazy as hell, because people don't understand the perspective from which I see the world. I see the world as going through its transformation. We all can see it. We can see that part. But what is it going to? Right? Some of us feel like, oh my God, it's the chaos. It's the end times. You know, people going to hell, people going to heaven. You know, is the angels coming? Is it the rapture? All of these things that people may consider and wonder about. And to me, because of my studies, it's not that to me. I understand it's a transformative time. Yes, exactly. But I see it as the opportunity for those who have had this spiritual vision, this aspect of the world that is better than what we see, to utilize their own powers, their own influence, their own intention, ideas, and perspectives to change the world into the thing that it is supposed to be, the glory and the beauty of the world, where everybody is living out to their fullest and highest selves, right? That's what I believe the opportunity is presenting itself to us all right now, right? And so our perspective and our belief about who we are is going to determine how we move that, right? How we utilize that, how we move in these times, right? So if you believe fear, let me get all of my food and protection. That's cool. That makes sense. You might need to do that because the systems and stuff. But that cannot. I would hope that is not your ultimate level of preparation, right? Because ultimately, what is about to happen is a splitting of society, right? You got those who are going to go back to the earth and the way that God created this universe and created us in harmony with that form of life, or you have those who are going to go into the matrix in a stronger way with the cyborg life, right? With the AI and all of the things they can put in their body to modify their vision, their hearing, their sight, their da. So becoming a robot, becoming transhuman, what they call, right? So we're at that cusp, right? We're at that cusp. And everyone here, y'all talk about the judgment day, you're going to have to make a decision and make a judgment on what you're going to do. You're going to move towards the natural expression of life, or are you going to move towards the mechanical expression of life? That is the time we're in. So I'm going to tell you who I am and why I'm here. My name is Sadiqullah. I'm going to tell you how I got this name in maybe another video. The point of this video is to tell you who I am and why I'm here. I am here as part of a collective of souls who are here right now, who recognize that we are about to transform this world. None of the people who are born on this planet right now are here arbitrarily, once again, as I say. I recognize that I am one of those souls. I don't know, one of the 144,000 people say all of these things. That's not important to me. I know I have a job, and I know there are others that have a specific job. My job is related to the educational system that is going to come about as this system falls away. Right now, we got tampons in the boys' bathroom in some places. This is obviously imbalanced. So we won't even go into all of the flaws of society and all of the extreme imbalances in society. We know it's falling away, it's falling down, and after that, there will be something. What is that thing that is going to be? In my opinion, it is the beginning stages and steps and processes of God's kingdom, heaven on earth. All of my prophecies say this. All of history says this. Study the esoterics and you'll see why I say what I say. My name is Sadiqullah. Sadiqullah means friend of God. Okay. You can look it up. You can research it. It also, when this research is done, you may see it means truth of God. Right. And so what I'm understanding and expressing is what God put in me. The heart in me is full of love. And I've long recognized that the world is not treating people fairly, right? And we all know that, but ain't nobody really willing to deal with it. And everybody got to stand on their gangster. Everybody got to be tough. Everybody got to, a persona that they've accepted and presented to the world. And all of us are living in a sense of shadow. We're not living in our full expression of light, right? Our light is covered by the layers of bullshit that we didn't put on because we worried about how the people see us or how it's going to affect us if someone sees my real heart. In the heart of me and my heart is a kingdom. It is a part of God's kingdom. It is known as the house of Ulah. Ulah is it's the house of God, right? That is what I am a part of. I am part of the house of Ulah. And the thing of this is that God's kingdom comes through the hearts of men. So what I talk about with this 24-hour community center, this is only the beginnings of a stage of human glory and light and love and the golden years that are to come. But if we don't start to move these blocks that we have in our personal lives that are causing us to move differently than the true expression of our hearts, we won't get there. Right? We won't never become the Jordan of our own life or the LeBron of our own life or the Tiger Woods of our own lives if we don't express our heart, our truest self in its fullest. So if we keep living from the fears, we keep living from the protections, we keep living under the layers, allowing the heart to peek out every so often. Yeah, well, I know I have a kingdom in my heart, and from the education that these children will have and the youth will have, they will bring about the kingdom of God on earth. I'm not expecting that it's coming from me. I'm coming from a perspective that I am to help teach those. Right? There has to be a fearlessness to express yourself today. And if you cannot express your heart, your truest self, your deepest expression of life, you are not going to be able to attain to the things that you are here for. You are going to be limited by the level of layers that you allow to hinder your perspective and your expression. So that's what I wanted to say today. Yeah. That's what I wanted to say today. And yes, I intend to live directly from my heart and directly to express that which is put in my heart to bring into this world. And yeah, I may be ridiculed, I may be clowned, I may be this and that, but that's expected with the territory. And look at those who doing the clowning. What they say, you can look at those who are doing the judging and the pointing and the expression of, oh, you a sucker, or you a this, or you a that, you a this, right? All of these things, look at their lives and look, do you think they're expressing themselves? You see what I'm saying? And you can say, so he keep talking about this expression. Well, that's who you are. Your internal self is who you are. You aren't the body. You are the internal being that is inside that keeps hiding because you ain't comfortable in the world in reality. Fuck the world. You better pull out who you are right now because the transformation is happening. And either you're going to be moving out of fear and cowardice and weakness, or you're going to move out of power, out of strength, out of influence, out of confidence, knowing where we are and what the job is. The job ain't, oh, cower and run and go get some food and stock up. That's possible, yeah, but no, not the cowering part, not the fear part. Okay, stock up. But the cowering and the fear and the worry, no, not that. Prepare yourself to take command. Put your vision into the world. My vision for this future ain't got nothing to do with my vision for the past. My vision for the future is fully expressed in my mind, in my meditation, in my prayers, in my thoughts of what my reality shall be, not what has been. That is utilized energy. And if I keep attaching myself to that, how can I expect my future to be different than my past? So express your heart, your soul, your deepest self in any way you can. Be love. Fuck the fear. Fuck these people and their judgments and clowning and man, you got one time and you're here now in the middle of this transformative ass time. I'm talking about look it up. Look it up. Look at all of these and spiritual relationships that are coming all to a head right now. We got stuff flying in the skies. If you're just talking about because this is American, basically a Christian nation. If you're talking about that, signs in the skies, you got them. They're happening every day. And if you don't accept them as what they are, because they're drones or this and this, yeah, they're going to give you a reality for all the things that you see, so you won't see it in the spiritual light and understand where we are and what time it is. So, we're at that stage, and I hope y'all recognize it, and I hope you start to work that way, because there is no other opportunities for your advancement unless you express who you are. If you don't express the fullest aspect of yourself, your soul, your spirit, your life, your heart, your love, your reason for being here, your purpose for existence, if you don't gather that shit, understand it, realize why you here. If you keep staying stuck in the matrix, go get a check, go get some sex, go get some weed, go get some this, go get some that. If that's all you gonna do, you're out of here. You're out of here. You're fodder. Okay, you're fuel. You're going to be fuel. So get the depth of yourself to the surface. Get that shit pushed out into the ethers and transform the atmosphere that you believe is the future for what you want to see as a reality in the existence of our lives. You're here. You have a energy and an influence, but if you don't accept it as its own power, then cower down. Get ready to run. But not me. All roads lead to Spirit. And I'm not a coward. I am quite brave when it comes to this. I'm not afraid to lose, whatever behind the truth of transformation for the world that I expect is the reality of God's kingdom. So that's all I got to say. One love from the man with three names.